guys? Welcome back to the 10-8 podcast, episode 3. Today we're going to be talking about Next Level Fight Club 13 and just the week in combat sports. Not a lot of stuff going on UFC-wise, but what little is happening, we will get into. So.
You know what? And for that fight card that we really didn't cover too much of, there were some fucking knockouts on that card, man. I was here by myself just being a real piece of crap in my underwear, eating Doritos, watching some knockouts, and I was having a blast.
It's one of those things where we're talking about.
I was jumping off the couch and scaring the dogs. There were some great knockouts.
It's one of those things where you're not going to go out of your way and break plans to watch a fight night like that, but if you're already at the house by yourself,
it was
chilling.
So great because I had no plans. I was like, oh, this is perfect.
Right.
And it was actually like a great night of fights to sit down and do nothing but watch because there were some great fights on that. Like, there really were. I was impressed.
Yeah, then Johnny Walker got Fortnite knockout.
Ooh, man. I think that we're just watching UFC 4 real engine like UFC 4 video game.
It looked like a ragdoll KO when he fell back. It was like he was calling off his own fight.
Yeah, we're gonna start seeing some people glitch and fall halfway through the cage kind of soon. We're going, wait a minute.
Who turned on no clipping?
Yeah. But before that, in Myrtle Beach, we had a great time with the best seats in the house, and it was great to see Next Level kind of just get back in gear. It seemed
crazy show,
and it was really smooth, like top to bottom. Like the last time they had some issues, the lighting, I think, or something like that. Yeah. There was some weird fighter drama. People not trying to fight last minute.
Yeah, it wasn't all cool runnings.
But then this show was really smooth. There were some bummers, some last minute cancellations and stuff like that. But man, what a solid night of fights! And it was still because they had the two title fights. It was still a packed house because that's who everyone was there to see, and it was a wild night.
Yeah, I mean, do you want to start with the main event and go down?
We'll start top to bottom.
Next Level. Next Level was a fun show. I really like the venue. I mean, the Sportsplex. It's
a really tight venue.
Yeah,
and they do have good crowd spacing. There's almost a fight, but otherwise for that kind of a space, hey,
that had nothing to do with the venue. The venue.
No. But the venue is I feel where the crowd sits, where the VIP tables are, everything like that. It is really well. Everyone has eyes on the fights. It's a really cool setup.
Definitely.
It kind of feels our version of the fight Apex, the UFC Apex. When you see it's tight knit in like that, I was that's a high quality grassroots show. How this is, I was I see, yeah.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, I feel like they took the next step up with the production, and I think, Michael Moran, his company, I'm not sure what the name of it is, but I know that he does a lot of the contracting out to get people to produce the shows. And Jasmine Fox was the producer on this show. She was great.
Yeah.
We had a really good crew, and it was just a really, like you said, smooth operation for the most part. But that main event, man, Joshua Oxendine
upset
taking on Dave Morgan. Dave Morgan getting the first win of his career in 10 years.
Yeah.
Since 2012 was the last time.
Title.
And he won a title.
Wow.
And we talked about it, in great detail, how you can't build a path to the UFC out of guys like Dave Morgan.
It's one of those things where I just call it and this is just from my experience. I've been around those kinds of fights for a long time, and I think if you ever talk to Seth Stevenson, he'll tell you the same thing. He can almost read how a fight card might play out. Where it's and we even think about how Oxendine cornered all those guys and stuff like that. It's just man, what a tough learning curve.
Yeah.
And if he does want to make it to a show, then he has to come back and want a 5-fight win streak from something like this, and it can't be against. Was it hey, good for Dave Morgan? He pulled it off, but what's Dave Morgan going to do next? I hope
he's going to fight Josh. He's going to fight Josh.
Oh, are they doing a rematch?
That's what Josh says.
Breaking news, everybody! I've been flabbergasted.
If you follow Josh Oxendine on Facebook, you would see that he said that he got his rematch for May.
I think he maybe removed me from his Facebook.
Oh wow!
I don't know. Maybe I don't. Or I just don't pay attention.
Well, apparently Josh was injured in the first round pretty early on into the fight. He suffered at least 2 broken ribs and bruised his lung. He had to be stretchered out of the cage.
Yeah.
And I mean nobody
hope,
wants to see that, but he fought 5 rounds after getting.
So I hope from here he goes and he hires a coaching staff.
Yeah.
Like, dude, you can't run your own show, man. You've got a business. It seems to be doing well. He ran a great camp for fighters.
Yeah, all his fighters
Dude,
did
his
great.
fighters, I was like, oh my God, what a great, like, showing for his team. But then he came out and, like, I mean, he paid the price for being coach instead of fighter. And so, hey, man, I hope Josh goes to that next step of hiring a staff and, like, you know, getting coaches that'll train him the right way. Like, he's a talented guy. He just needs to be told what to do, I think. He can't lead the show. He's had some great talent as a coach, clearly. Mm-hmm. So I feel like if he has, like, someone to, like, I saw Aaron King in his corner. So I think, like, you know, Aaron King might be taking more of an influence to help him, like, his jiu-jitsu. Like, that's been his coach before. And I think, like, you know, he was just too busy coaching others.
Yeah. I mean, every other fight he was out there in the corner. I mean, he had a lot of guys on this one, starting all the way down there at the very first fight. Austin Snyder getting things kicked off for us. But, yeah, I mean, it was just hard for Josh to get up. I mean, obviously now, in retrospect, you can look back on that fight and say, well, yeah, he was fighting like somebody who, you know, had broken his ribs. Because one, he just looked so tired and he didn't have any wrestling defense. But
I could see him wearing the evening, like, on his way to the cage and getting in there. I just went, ooh, well, that's a heavy face.
That's when you get injured, right? Is when you're already, like, kind of off or kind of tired.
Because it's you need adrenaline. You need to be ready to fall.
Yeah.
And if you're just kind of, hey, I've shown up to some fights pretty lackadaisical, some practices lackadaisical, and those are when I get hurt. And I'm just like, whoops.
Yeah.
Like, you have to be in gear to get hit. Like, it's the tough part about it. Yeah. And you see, like, all of his adrenaline was gone from, like, you saw him getting amped up earlier.
Had a low energy walkout.
Like, I think he had all of his adrenaline dumps, like, early on, and he was just fried.
Yeah. Especially after, like, we were talking about some of the other fights that he cornered and how, like, grueling some of them were. Like, you know,
he had some great little moments still at some points. He fought for some slick submissions, but he just didn't have it.
He was so close on that rear naked choke. I mean, you could see Dave Morgan's face, like, changing color, and it was just because he didn't have that hook. But man, that would have been one of the greatest comeback. You know,
that would have been wild.
Type submissions. You know,
and I'm really happy for Dave Morgan. You know, for him to show up, take that fight like that, and Dave Morgan did a great job of fighting for a short powerhouse wrestler for MMA. You know, he would throw overhands. If he missed a punch, he would still step back in. Because, like, Casey wouldn't step out. Like, Casey would get tagged. He'd stay outside. Or, I'm sorry. Sorry, Casey.
And Josh.
And Josh.
Sorry to both of you.
There's a lot on the brain. But no, like, Josh would see the overhands and pause. But then Dave would just go, and just, like, fire right back if it missed, and then he would shoot in. And
Dave was also doing a great job waiting on the cross.
Oh, yeah.
Anytime Josh's cross showed up, he just blasted him.
He did. Yeah. He really, really nailed some of the timing on those takedowns, his follow-through.
Yeah.
And it was really good to see. There's a difference of being taken down a lot by jiu-jitsu people, and there's a difference being taken down by a wrestler. Because when you get taken down from a wrestler like Dave Morgan,
Dirty Dave,
you got that barrel of a chest, like, pinning you to the mat. So as soon as you hit there, it's not like, okay, I'm down, hip out.
Shoulders.
Like, it is like you are pinned to the earth, man.
Shoulders to the ribs, probably breaking your ribs.
And you saw from some of those takedowns, like when he was pulling him off the cage and he was dropping him down, I mean, that shoulder was right in the ribs.
Yeah.
Like Dave did a lot of damage with those takedowns.
He was ripping to the body, too. I rewatched the fight, and he was really ripping to the body as well. But, you know, it's one of those things where it's like, I was wondering, why was Dave Morgan able to just blast, like, charge through Josh's cross when Josh has knocked out so many people with it? And it's because if your ribs are broken, you can't really throw the same way.
He had a hard time sitting.
Yes.
And if you in MMA, like, if you can't sit on punches, you can't get anything off. You also can't sit on stopping takedowns. Mm-hmm. You know, like, you can't always get, like, that heavy leg out, hip down sprawl. A lot of times you have to start with a good base, work underhooks, cross faces, depending on, like, where you control the range.
Right.
But Josh had nothing to sit on. Like, his body was out of that fight. Yeah.
Tough break for Josh and a great win for Dave Morgan.
But I think that no matter which direction he goes, I think he has a good future.
Oh, yeah, because he's clearly able to sell tickets.
Yeah. Like,
90% of the building was there just to see him.
I think he outsold Brandon Bouchard in his own backyard.
Yeah. Speaking of, Brandon Bouchard had a great fight. I mean, like we were saying on the drive home, he was winning up until the moment he wasn't. I mean, he really was putting it on Chris for a while there.
He had a great start. Well, and we saw the gears switch. Like, Brandon started out fast. Mm-hmm. Christopher Perez started off like he hadn't fought in 2 years. And you saw as soon as he got taken down, he just went, "Oh, what the hell?" And you saw like a gear turn on, like, and it wasn't like he didn't like overwork himself getting up.
Yeah,
does that make sense? Like I saw him like hit as soon as his back hit the ground, he just went, "Oh, I'm not supposed to be here."
Right,
but he tightened up really well. Like, he didn't try to exert himself defensively, if that makes sense. Where sometimes a wrestler will hit the ground and just go, "Wah!" and it becomes like two cats in a bag fighting for submissions.
I think we knew when we were going into this, when we were doing the breakdown, that we were going to see like some kind of grappling display on both sides. And it's like, it wasn't really like a back and forth exchange. It was like one guy went and then the other guy went.
It was like watching Over the Top with Sylvester Stallone.
Yes.
Oh shit!
Great film, by the way.
Like, great film, you know.
Written by Sylvester Stallone as well.
What a thespian. But no, like, that was like an arm wrestling match.
Right.
It really was, where it's like a person started off like, oh, and it's like, oh man, great. But then all of a sudden it's like there's no coming back from that, and it was like Bouchard was fighting back well. I thought defensively, even when Perez was starting to just push him back into the cage, when he got back up on the feet, like, and he started, and this is what I was talking about. You got to look out for wrestlers that have submission wins due to strikes. Because you saw Perez brought a very heavy pressure. He had very strong punches. And then when Bouchard started to feel those punches, he wasn't panicking. He was definitely like getting the hell out of there. And then he kind of went into the submission from that. And I was like, man, but Perez's control and power from those punches was impressive. And that kind of dictated where Bouchard was going to go, and Perez was ready for it.
I've never seen Brandon Bouchard land as clean of a blow as he did on that opening exchange.
Oh, yeah!
I mean, he clipped Perez with that, right, and it just set up the takedown beautifully. I mean, that was one of the best sequences I've seen from him in the time I've been watching, him getting ready for this fight, researching, all that stuff like that. I mean, it seems like, he had a great showing. This was like the opposite of the main event. It was a super back and forth.
It was one round, right?
Yeah,
but there was a lot of action for one round. Like there was a lot of
high
back
intensity
and forth for one round. Yeah,
and I think nobody in there was like that was there to see Brandon anyway. Was using their seat. Like it was everybody was on their feet for that fight the whole time. And Chris Perez really showed you how to win over the crowd. As opposed to what Dave Morgan's
But it also shows like the
was.
crowd that the Bouchard Brigade is. Like, it's a bunch of it's a bunch of great people, man.
Yeah.
And that's a good crowd, and they were very supportive of David Perez, or Chris Perez. Calling all my students' names out, my bad. But no, it's Christopher Perez. He was very complimentary of the promotion of Lamont, and how they took care of him coming in on short notice. He even said, like, the audience, he didn't just say, he's like, man, walking around here, he was like, yeah, I had, like, the enemy territory shirt on, but people were nice to me. He was like, oh, thank you. Like, yeah, really did. Like, I was really glad to see that.
Yeah, he seemed like a great guy. Yeah. I hope that we get to see him in next level again. He said he wanted to defend the belt. So hopefully not another 2-year layoff for him.
I would not be mad about seeing Christopher Perez fight again. Like, seeing him fight, good for him. Yeah.
Yeah, he had that. He's fought, like, twice in 4 years, so he had, like, a fight, a 2-year layoff, and then another fight, and then another 2-year layoff. So hopefully he's ready to just kind of roll with it, At this stage in his career, it's like...
He even said that he was coming out of, like... He said they lost, like, 45 pounds for this.
Yeah.
Like that. He said that he kind of went through, like, a rough patch. I mean, because, like, everyone did after these past... Like,
everyone does.
Everyone's been in a bit of a rough patch, and I guess, like, he needed some motivation out of that rough patch, and he got himself the title for it. So, good for him.
Yeah, awesome performance, too.
Yeah.
And then, Chris Hurd. Your Hurd with Chris Hurd. A spinning wheel kick knockout, which honestly might have been a card-saving moment, because this was a card that didn't have a lot of highlight reel type moments or highlight reel finishes, and then there was this fight between Travis Floyd and Chris Hurd, and it's not exactly...
from like our perspective, like, we watched some really fun fights. Like, some, like, the audience members, like, a lot of audience members just want to see, like, knockouts.
But, like, this fight in particular wasn't going great for either guy. It wasn't going great for either guy.
It was,
and then...
this fight was very it was a lot of, and we're talking about it where it was two athletic guys just trying to fence each other. Mm-hmm. It really came down to who's going to land first. And Chris landed first in the coolest way ever.
Well, I mean, I saw him start to set up that low line side kick, and I was thinking like he was going to feint it with a regular head kick, like kind of like Amanda Nunes did to Holly Holm, like countering it with a straight up head kick. But I was not expecting him to go full Lando Venata.
Yeah, and you saw him measure with the heel to the far leg, and it's like, oh, if I can kick there, I can kick past that. Correct. And I was like, what a crazy, and it's a very traditional martial arts. That's like the most Taekwondo thing I've seen in a minute, and I'm like, no.
Right.
Yeah,
and it's like, man, every show Chris Hurd gives us something new to talk about with his skill set. Like, I mean,
last time he submitted a BJJ black belt. Mm-hmm. This time, he folding chairs someone with a spinning wheel kick. Insane.
I mean, there's not a lot of shows. I mean, I just don't think people that were there could really even appreciate like how rare that is to see at a show of this like a local show. To see a knockout of that caliber,
that was
truly a special,
a wild knockout.
Special KO.
Yeah, that's like one of those like when time slows down knockouts. Not just for the person getting knocked out, but for us as well.
Yeah, because I had this camera and I was recording the fight, and then suddenly I was like, man, I don't really have a great angle if they go to that side of the fence. I don't know what it was, but I was like,
man, you got it though.
I need to readjust my shot. I had some kind of
and I was so mad because I had my phone. We were both like, we know we might see something really cool with this.
It was weird.
And the knockout happened right in front of the fucking cage panel, and I was like, oh, bummer.
It was weird because it was such a stinker of a fight so far, but we both kind of knew that something was about to happen.
They were both trying to do something. Like they were like, we both gotta get this done in one.
Right.
It's like the vibe they were putting off, like as it went on. Yeah.
And Chris, on the mic after, such a humble guy, such a great guy, shouting out Badge of Honor, shouting out our sponsor as well.
Yeah, I gave him a pair of gloves for the knockout of the night, even though it wasn't from hands. It was awesome. It doesn't matter. I was like, hey, I want to see a folding chair. He delivered a folding chair knockout.
Yeah. Oh, and by the way, I mean, I was going to tell you off air, but I can tell you on the podcast, I talked to Shaziel about the gloves, and he's super on board to do like some custom 10-8 podcast gloves. Yeah.
I like
so
that.
Badge of Honor on the wrist strap, and then on the glove itself, the 10-8. Yeah.
I like that a lot.
So yeah, I think that's going to be something that we continue to do going forward to shows is doing these gloves for finish of the night, knockout of the night for sure. I think that would be really fun. But.
Yeah, that's a really fun thing to do. Yeah, and it's also and it was my bad. I didn't like really announce it. I was kind of like preoccupied. And it was a really last minute thing. It was literally when you pulled up to grab me. I grabbed a pair of gloves and I was like, I'm going to give some gloves to somebody today.
Dude,
and
that's
I just went like,
genius idea. It doesn't matter that we didn't promote it because we tried it and it was a success.
And like Chris was like really stoked. He was like, "Oh, cool!" And I was like, "Awesome, yeah, glad, man."
And they're sweet gloves, and I think that if we get some custom ones made for the podcast, I think that fighters could take pictures with them after. It'd be a great way for people to find out. The amateur portion of the card kind of going down from the top. I believe we have. Dalton versus Caleb, right?
That was they changed the bout order around on this just online, but yeah, that was the last fight before the
pro card
started, and we're living in a simulation, man. What the hell? Like, what did the world glitch again or something like that? Like,
I have no idea what happened.
I think we sat through a reboot, like where it's like, hey, in the Matrix, that cat went by twice, like. Hey, for us, I feel like, man, maybe we just saw a glitch or something like that. Like,
I mean, it was.
But I'll say it was a
second verse, same as the first, except for the fact that the fight
was
way completely different.
Completely different.
Way more compelling.
This fight literally picked back up where they left off at. And I told Dalton like afterwards, I was like, bro, I hate that happened so much, but on some grown man shit, like. You did the damn thing, and he came out so much better than the last fight.
100%.
Like his composure was there. He had a great jab to check hook. Caleb Harris, he had a lot of slick parry and jab returns. Yeah. He had some expert timing on his jabs and crosses, some of his step throughs. Like those two really came ready to fight each other again. And I was like, man, if these guys do want to go pro, that's how they should fight as pros. Like literally,
they both have really slick boxing.
Yeah, like I was impressed with like. The footwork and hand speed and composure and the defense and stuff like that. And I just went, man, really, really good showing from because that's kind of how these heavyweights are playing out.
Caleb.
If you're not these big, muscular, jacked wrestlers, you're kind of like built like, these two. These two are both big guys, but they're kind of more like Tai Tuvasas.
Yeah.
So they got to stick and move to win,
Caleb put a display on for his chin. I mean, he took
really
some big
good
boy shots.
Yeah,
He just wasn't even phased.
No,
not even rocked. He just kept coming forward. But after the first round, he went back to his corner and he's like, I can't move, or he just blasts me. So I mean, Dalton was doing a great job of locking him down, keeping him from circling out.
And Caleb did the right thing of getting back behind his just jabs and crosses. And it was, and we're talking about that his best punches is when Dalton was trying to be a boxer instead of an MMA fighter, because Caleb was catching him when he was hitting boxing angles. And I was talking about Dalton was pivoting too tight off that jab check hook. He needed to step out a different angle. He needed to step out back behind it, maybe go southpaw and find a jab cross or a step through cross. That's just what I would do, Dalton. But no, he would hit that great jab check hook, and then he'd have a really tight pivot off of it, and Caleb would just go perfect, boom. And he wouldn't overcommit, but he would definitely make Dalton go, okay, I can't be there. But because they were going back and forth with the jab so much, how do you counter a jab? With a check hook. So what was Dalton doing every time? So then Caleb kept going into that jab parry fight to find Dalton to keep making that angle. And he forced Dalton to keep repeating that pattern. And that's just Caleb being the experienced boxer and Dalton getting too happy about his boxing. And you heard me talking before the fight. You got to take a boxing match.
Yes.
So he can be aware of that. Because you can do that angle, just not inside.
Right.
That's if someone's trying to step away, they've made a lot of space. I'm going to cut that pivot outside of a punch range to realign heavy and then do a faster explosive, a heavier straight line shot, something like that. But it was a really fun MMA boxing match. I'll say that.
I mean, I think that like you were saying, I think that both guys showed that they can, they made a lot of improvements to themselves. But I mean, I really think that we kind of had this worry about the fight playing out the same as it did before, and it didn't up until the moment that it
then happened again.
I honestly think the doctor was a little trigger happy here because Dalton took that low blow, and per the rules, if you take a low blow, you have about 5 minutes to recover. And about 2 minutes of Dalton recovering, that doctor was trying to get into the cage. And I'm like, yo, he's got 5 minutes.
Yeah. He's good.
He's good.
Let him chill.
And then the doctor comes in there on the eye poke, and, and he stops the fight pretty much immediately. And then, Dalton's eye didn't look nearly as bad as it did in the previous fight.
I didn't recognize...
And he wanted to, keep fighting. It was pretty bad.
Yeah, I didn't recognize the doctor. John Lucas is a good... well-known fight doctor in the Carolinas. But yeah, from what it seemed Dalton did, he just got it in the eye again, and that ref was kind of just or I'm not the ref, but the doctor was kind of just what am I doing in a cage? I think that doctor was kind of more like one of those doctors who's you probably shouldn't be doing this anyways. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
That seems like the kind of doctor where he's just I did not want the extra $500 now. I'm good. Yeah. Does that make sense? I feel like he was kind of the kind of I went to the doctor last week and he's like, "What, you've been doing what your whole life?" And I'm like, "I know, doc, but it's okay.
I regret this."
Yeah, but I think he was one of those doctors where he's like, "Yeah, you probably shouldn't be in here anyways, bro. Why are you doing this?" I mean, I think I think that Dalton was actually I was hearing him talk and he was he wanted to fight. It was just give him the time.
Yeah.
Let him adjust his shit a little bit.
He's supposed to have 5 full minutes.
Give him 5 full minutes to keep working it out. Mm-hmm. Not just hey, I've been poked in the eye in a fight. I've caught a thumb to the eye with a glove. I've gotten fingers in a fight. Refs don't see it. Your shit comes back after a couple minutes, sometimes on the stool. You need those 5 minutes.
Yeah.
You do. And I think, it is tough. If you see some blood, oh fuck, stop it. But if they see vision coming back over 5 minutes and then they're good, yeah, then you're fine. There's no extra damage being done. Eyeball damage is pretty. It's there, it's not, if the eye is actually changing colors, then you stop it. If it's a little watery and there's no swelling, and then guess what, you're okay.
Yeah, you're probably going to be okay.
Yeah.
But yeah, bummer. But this one actually gets declared a draw instead of a no contest.
Because it went to the
Last time it was declared a victory for Caleb because it went to the scorecards.
Mm-hmm.
This time it goes to the scorecards
and it's a draw.
Majority draw.
Yeah.
I personally thought I thought Dalton was winning both rounds.
I did too. I thought he just landed the better shots. Like they both had good moments. They both had great activity. But I thought Dalton did land.
Big shots.
Like he landed the shots that would have counted. Yeah.
So in my mind, I think they're 1-1 because I think Caleb was pretty handily winning the first fight, and Dalton was pretty handily winning this fight. Mm-hmm. But both of them, both fights go down as draws / no contest. So officially they're 0-0-1 against each other.
Like I know,
crazy.
Why the hell do we love this sport so much?
It's crazy. I mean, that's like I don't know what the odds of that are, but that's like some golden snitch type numerical value there.
Yeah, there is. Something broken in the Matrix.
Remind me what was before that.
Maurice Morris and Roland.
Okay, I can't remember if that was before or after the last one. Okay, so Roland versus Maurice Morris. And Maurice Morris, just a scary individual. Just a very...
Yeah, I'm not really happy with how we started the fight, but however, everything after that, he still did control. Like
you were fired up about that glove touch thing.
Yeah, I hate that shit, man. Like, because if he had knocked Roland out with that, like, I probably would have thrown a chair at the guy, then had to run the opposite direction. But no, that's not cool. Like, don't acknowledge, like, I don't think you guys should be doing glove touches anyways.
Right.
Like, you fucking shouldn't.
Mm-hmm.
However, like, it's beat up. If someone does go for the glove touch, and you go, yeah, sure, and then you just run out and hit him.
Yeah.
Like, not cool, man. Like, what the fuck, dog? I mean, outside of that, he did great. Like, I feel like, he did a great job beating Roland Mizell. He really did shut him down the whole time.
Yeah.
He really did. And this is a fight that was supposed to take place at 85, but took place at 205. And you can just see that Maurice just had the better gas tank. He had his foot on the gas the whole time. Roland had some great openings. He found some slick kicks and punches. But that kid's an 85er. Like, he punches like an 85er. And Maurice, that dude's also technically an 85er.
Right, he would have made 85.
He would have made 85, yeah.
He would have made it.
Yeah.
Apparently, from what I hear, me and Roland share coaches.
Yes.
Roland had the flu.
Everyone gets the flu during fight week when you're cutting weight, though.
Yeah.
Yeah, everyone does.
And usually they miss weight.
Yeah, like a lot of people get the fight.
And usually they don't have a gas tank.
Yeah, but it's also like that happens every fight.
I mean,
I
think it's happened to Roland maybe once. I mean, I've seen him get sick from cutting weight once. But
he's gotten the fight week flu a bunch. But like a lot of people do.
But he did have all the signs of a fighter who had flu during fight week. He missed weight by more than 10 pounds.
Yeah,
or he has to move the fight.
Yeah,
he didn't miss weight. He has to move the fight before he weighed in. So, it's one of those things where it's like, that's gotta suck. It's gotta suck to have to wrestle somebody when you're feeling like that. He had one moment of glaring success where he fucking front kicked him right in the face.
Like I said, he had some great openings,
and
but
Maurice
he just didn't have anything in the tank to
ran right through it.
Maurice
just ran right through that front kick.
And that's something I talk in my classes where I'm just like, sometimes people run through your shit. Like, man, it's frustrating.
He landed two pretty good kicks.
He landed like some
front
great
kick and the
Roland
outside
landed some great counter shots, like some great hook, like some step off angles. He hits those well, but Maurice could just run through it.
There wasn't a lot of exchanging on the feet.
No, there were and a lot of it was like Roland got cracked early. That'll stay in your head. That's tough, and that's also upsetting because that does change the course of a fight as well. Of you start the fight off getting hit, you're like, shit, I can't get hit with another one of those flat out.
Right.
You're like, shit, he took away my one good shot to take. And that's a true thing. Like, a lot of fighters will know, they'll find out after one if they can take another.
Right.
Does that make sense? They'll also look at someone. They'll also look at someone and go I could take 2 or 3.
Well, that's how
you could take other shots, but it's I know, there's 2 or 3 shots that are not going to be fun to take. I could take from that guy, and then you have to start playing a different game. You're going to have your reserve tank.
People start respecting your power after they take one of those.
Exactly, right? and I could see Roland would pull away from the wind-ups and stuff like that. That's when he had his best counters. But Maurice was walking through those, and he would just dive in against the cage, and then.
And Roland started defending the takedowns very well when Maurice started to get a little bit more tired, but he was already so tired at that point that it was just
It's tough to have something like that on you. Like
in my opinion, so there's a situation that arises with wrestlers sometimes, especially when they're built like Yoel Romero or Maurice Morris, where there's a situation where they've been wrestling you and you've been defending. Maybe they've gotten you down, maybe they haven't, but whatever happened, y'all are both tired now. In that situation where you're tired and a wrestler is tired, the wrestler will always be at the advantageous position because he's used to wrestling tired. Yes. Yeah. They wrestle tired,
like
relentlessly.
A wrestler's biggest benefit is fatigue.
Yes.
Like mental and physical fatigue
Eventually,
at the same time.
They will lock their hands. Eventually, they will, even if it has to go very slow. Yeah. And that's what we saw Maurice. As he got more tired, he became more methodical. Mm-hmm. Slowly breaking down Roland.
And that was also his first time going through a fight camp.
A real fight camp.
I'm excited to see that dude fight again, to be honest. Like, yeah.
Dude, I gotta be honest with you. I mean,
he's
a very nice guy.
He seems like it, but I'm just like...
Brittany told me he was a nice guy, and the little bit he seemed to really like our pre-show, our preview of him.
He seems like a cool guy, but just like, don't start fights like that.
But I will say that my lizard brain, my animal instincts, when I was interviewing him, everything in my body was telling me like flight response. Like you need to get away from this guy. Like like I was like very. It has not happened to me yet with a fighter, but it happened to me this time. I was very like intimidated on a instinctual level. Like
oh, this guy could kill me.
Dylan, myself as a commentator and analyst, I was fine being around Maurice, but my fucking inner animal was definitely not okay with being around this guy.
I get that way around like the military buddies that are like
he's
special,
that too
about like the special forces but
he was a Marine also.
Guys Marines and Army guys but like the spooky guys, like when I meet those like the Green Berets and I'm like that's when I feel that I'm like, oh no, like I've met like my uncle was like a Green Beret and I remember I was like, oh, spooky, and like I think danger with like around fighters I'm usually just like big, like I don't know. I'm always kind of like that little dog in the park though.
After that, it was Matt.
I don't know why I just
Matt Santagello versus Mike Ross, or was there another fight between those two?
There was Stancil and Eli Wilson.
Stancil and Wilson. Yeah, that was a fun fight, huh?
Good for Chris, man.
I gotta be honest with you. I'm not gonna name any names. I'm not naming any names. I'm not gonna say anybody's name that said some shit like this. But we were walking around talking, doing our thing before the show. And just about every person we talked to from both locker rooms said Chris Stancil was going to get his ass beat by Eli Wilson.
So many people were like rooting against our dude. And
they weren't even rooting.
Like they're like not even like rooting against. Like they're just saying like he might get fucked up bad.
So many people were like, "I love Chris. He's the best." Yeah. But I think he's going to get fucked up. And I'm just like, why? What makes you think that? Like
we were saying, like this fight complements each other very well.
Yes.
Like one person's going to dictate or they're not. And Chris is the one that dictated.
Right. He dictated
from
the
bell shit out of that fight.
From bell to bell.
He was like, I'm going to go wrestle and he even said, I'm going to wrestle the fuck out of this guy. He's like, I got pillow hands, whatever. Like, I'm over it. Like he said, like some a flyweight. Like
he's talking about Isaiah.
Yeah, like
he's talking about Isaiah.
Yes, he has like pillow hands and then he's like, so yeah, I'm just gonna go wrestle this guy. Then whatever. Like, man, did he?
He wrestled the shit out of him.
And we watched Eli Wilson's fight, and that guy had he has that team pitch black striking, that team Thompson karate striking style. He knew how to kind of work on the cage and the ground a bit. Like he had good instincts and ideas for counter wrestling on the cage and the ground. But
that's how
experience is experience, and sometimes hey, it just be that way when you get that guy that can just take you down and keep it there.
That's how I knew Chris had improved because when we watched Eli's fight versus that other guy in Virginia,
Eli was definitely better on the cage.
But that guy was a wrestler. And that guy, was trying to take Eli down and hold him down, but he couldn't.
Yeah.
Because Eli was so active. Chris shut all that down.
And Eli was doing the right thing, looking for butterflies and all the right hooks. But Chris is just all right, I can just hang out here. And he knew how to just beat him up enough to stay in the right spot.
All the right hooks.
That's
a good name for a jiu-jitsu podcast.
All the right hooks.
That one's free, by the way. Whoever's
You're welcome.
I thought that fight was really fun. I think most people didn't really appreciate the fight because it was so wrestling heavy.
I loved
But
it. Like,
I thought
was
that,
like,
like-
well, just it's also because like it's nice because we like Christopher Stansel. He is a goofy kid. He posts wild
guy.
shit online. Like, I love watching like my Facebook feed just for like Christopher Stansel. I'm just
Yeah.
like, I love this guy. I don't know, and he's just like his attitude. Like I love wrapping his hands, man. I've wrapped his hands twice now for like so like it's like I don't know like.
He's got a personality.
He's a personality,
Yeah.
and he'll just reach out and say what's up. Like he will. Like he'll just sometimes like want to talk to you about shit.
There's that moment in between round 1 and round 2 where they're like Isaiah's like icing Chris.
Uh-huh.
He moves out of the way, and Chris goes, "Hey, aren't you Wonder Boy's dad?"
Yeah. We need to get a sound. We need to
Mr.
get a-
Thompson just turns around and gives him a smile and a nod.
We need to get a sound bite of that and make that like the
I tried to isolate
opening for
it.
the podcast.
I was telling Gene about it because I was watching the fights with Gene last night, and I was telling him about it. I was like, man, I wish you could hear this, because if it was Fight For It, you could hear it.
Yeah.
Because Jason McGinnis would have had
A
that,
camera
had that
right
cage
there,
mic. Yeah, you would have heard it. But yeah,
love that kid.
good win for Chris. Very unanimous decision.
Yeah.
Bell to bell, whistle to whistle. He fucked them up. And then Mike Ross. Where's Matt Santagello? Was that the other fight?
Yeah, that was the opener. Oh no, that was not. No, that was the second fight with the kids kickboxing match first. But yeah, Michael Ross from Team Ox taking on everyone's like stereotypical like bad stepdad, mean dogs looking guy. Like,
yes.
I kind of forgot saying that, but I was like, no, that sounds like something I'd say. Like
He
when
looks
Brittany
like
told me,
somebody else told me. Somebody else had a good one. They were like, he looks like a guy
who's mean to dogs.
who you would see in a viral video using racial slurs in a gas station. Matt.
Is this the
Sorry,
dad?
Matt.
Is this the dad of the Twisted Tea guy?
Yeah.
Is this the dad of the Twisted? Oh man.
Twisted
No, you
dad.
know what's like? I saw him walking around. And he seemed like a nice enough guy.
Yeah,
he's
of
a dude
course.
that just shows up to fights. I
You can't help if you're an intimidating looking
I
guy.
just looked at him like, you look like my stepdad, and he was an asshole. Like, I'm sorry, man.
He literally looks like everybody's stepdad. He looks like a stepdad from a movie.
He does.
You
I
know,
was like,
if you were
man.
casting a stepdad.
Like, you might not look like you pop kids' balloons at parties, but you look like you pop kids' balloons.
Speaking of getting his balloon, he got his balloon popped.
Early. Yeah.
Right in the back of the head. Unfortunate because he was kind of leaning over and it was a
And
transitional
there's
strike.
no back of the head strikes on the feet. That's the thing. Like, if you put your head there and a punch or a kick goes there, sorry. Like, you know, that rule is for more like on the cage when someone's stationary, on the ground, stuff like that.
Protesting the stoppage a little bit.
But he was going in and out holding on that guy's leg, it looked like.
Yeah,
you know?
I thought
like
so too.
he was like holding on, and we saw his body.
Mike Ross
like,
was hitting him with the Donkey Kong punches.
yeah, like, you know,
looked
he got
Marge
cracked
Simpson
early.
with
He
it.
dove in for a single, and it looked like he went out, like holding onto that leg. It was a clean stoppage. Man.
Yeah,
it really
man.
was.
Great way to get
wait,
things
how
kicked
fast
off.
was that?
It was early in the
It
first
was
round.
early.
Like 38
seconds
38
around
seconds.
one. Yeah, there it is.
Then the kids got to start off really fast.
Yeah, Joseph
You know your
Snyder,
boy,
yeah, okay,
from
so
Rusitino.
Ethan Rusitino out of Carolina Kickboxing Academy. Man, I really loved what he did in that fight. It's tough that he got like clipped early by Snyder. He got that like 10-8 round against
Snyder's
him.
got some power, dude.
That kid looks like he's like on the Cuban baseball
Yoked
team.
up, yeah.
Like, yeah, you
Birth certificate says I am 12.
yeah, exactly. Yeah, and he drove himself to elementary school. Jesus fucking Christ, bro. Yeah, a little
Yeah,
juice
he's
box.
jacked. He's jacked.
Like insanely jacked. And then Ethan, he's still like a teenager. He's like 13. Like he's working out a lot, but he's getting taller. He's got ICAF experience. He's trained by Walker Vivian. And he had a great switch kick game. He
Yeah.
also had, and one of Walker Vivian's specialties is switch kick feints, setups, and counters. And you saw the more Ethan landed that switch kick, the more he landed that straight cross or switch kick setup to that boom jab down that middle. He would also go switch kick inside low kick to cross. It was very like Walker Vivian came up and literally did a seminar on those very things.
Well, it's
and
such
I've
a-
seen all of his guys like hit those traditional switch kicks, and he does the exaggerated like arm swing to help set up what that fighter's seeing. Like it was really slick.
It's such a classic matchup, right? You have the
Yeah.
guy who's coming forward, all power, all brawl,
Yeah.
and then you have the technical
Where,
guy who's kind of
and
constantly
what's
on the
what's
back foot.
wild is like Snyder had the right idea. Where I mean he focused on more like youth pancration and MMA, and he has a very good counter kick. He had a great parry to big bombs. you know, and all of his punches, you see, all of his punches lead more into like takedown setups and stuff like that. I wish these kids could have used more. No, like Ethan has great fucking knees, man. And Snyder, I don't think his body could have handled those well, to be honest.
Yeah,
like
the knees of the body.
I really feel like the knees of the body would have been a bit. Well, Ethan landed a few, but you can tell he does a good job of finding from the clinch and stuff like that. But Snyder's power brought some issues for Ethan, and Ethan was starting to pull his head away, like because he's getting hit from behind, and that's when I think like the second round is like right at the bell. There's like the knockdown for the 10-8, and I was like, oh, tough.
Yeah.
But Ethan did a great job.
Good officiating though.
Great officiating. Yeah, great officiating.
I think that was Jimmy Neely on the
ball
there.
Yeah. But that was a wild pace to open up. Like, that was the most action-packed fight for 3 rounds.
Right.
Of the whole card. Like, it was 2 13-year-old kids.
Yeah, well, I mean, we say it every time we do one of these shows with the youth fights on. They really open up the show and fight.
If
like
you want to treat, you should come to like the IKF tournament, because those kids, like the IKF Worlds, you want to see some kids matches that are just off the wall. It's like, oh, these are future assassins.
Yeah, of
like,
course.
Yeah. These kids grew up to be like John Wick. Some of them, I swear.
Madison Rain.
There you go.
She's the most scary 13-year-old kid I've ever seen in my life.
Unreal, screaming at kids during a fight, like.
So you watched the UFC last Saturday.
Yeah.
Besides Jamal Hill and Johnny Walker, was there any fights that stuck out to you?
Yeah, there were some great knee knockouts. Jim Miller.
Yeah.
Knocking out Nicholas Mata, the former CFFC champion, and Jim Miller is just becoming.
I can't believe he's finishing guys like this,
Yeah, but he's like, hey, I'm cured of Lyme disease. He's like, I've been getting better this whole time, and now I'm better.
Like Jim Miller, mythical fighter,
dude,
a lot.
Like, yo, like Blonde Brunson.
Yeah.
Now we got Lyme disease-free Jim Miller.
Lyme-free Miller.
Lyme-free Miller. There we go, bro. Like, he is a machine right now. Like, it's like his chin has gotten better too.
Yeah, he can hang.
He really can. And he's like, man, I might not be. He even said it best. He's like, I'm not at the top of the division. He's like, I'm gonna go until I can't right now. And I'm like, good for him. Like, I bet he seems like he's really enjoying fighting. Like, for someone that went through that kind of like physical like setback of life, like that shit's awful for you, and especially trying to train with it. Like fighting wasn't fun, but he was sticking to it. He's like, I'll get better. And then now that he's gotten better, I think he's really enjoying fighting again, and that's scary for some of these young kids to run into someone with this much experience and who's just like, okay, I'll go. Like, watch this.
First round Hall of Fame for sure.
Oh,
like
absolutely.
It's like 5 years after he retires, he's Hall of Fame material.
Yeah, unreal.
Actually, they don't even have that rule in the UFC. I'm thinking of like the NFL. But Uriah Faber and Bisping, like 2 years after they retired, they were in. I think the UFC just wants to be like kind of sure that you're not going to fight again.
Yeah, they want to know that you're done before they keep that name.
I think Faber is the only person to fight after being inducted in the Hall of Fame.
That's right.
Is that right?
That's right, yeah.
Yeah, he fought Ricky Simon.
Well, I mean, in the UFC. Like, Chael and Tito or...
Right, they fought after. Yeah, they fought after. But,
as far as, like, active in the UFC, Uriah's the only one. As far as other finishes on that card, the other great knee knockout was Chaz Skelly in his retirement fight. Outstanding way, like what a blue collar guy taking out Mark Striegel.
Been around forever.
Yeah, and he's always been a fun grappler to watch.
Yeah.
He has like a very Ben Askren-y type body. He's not the most dynamic striker, but he's just a tough guy. He's a dog. Yeah. And he tagged Striegel earlier. He said that he knew that guy didn't have a chin. He knew he was going to pull away from his punches and just boom, knee up the middle. And I thought that was a great way for him to hang up his hat. We had Jessica Rose Clark losing by a slick armbar.
Womp, womp, womp.
I know. But I like watching Jessica Rose Clark because she just is kind of crazy. And Talia is a big fan of like these feral women because that's how she fights.
As fine as they come.
But Stephanie Egger, she had some great hip tosses. Like she did a great job of like when Jessica Rose Clark, like she wanted to run in and fight in the clinch. And then Stephanie went, hey, here's my underhooks and, like, my years of judo.
Well, I was going to say,
and
like...
hit the same hip toss, like, twice.
Look, that's a good camp that Jessica Rose is out of. We know that she's got a good coaching staff around her. Was the plan in fight camp to run in there and clinch with a judo master?
Probably not.
What the fuck happened then?
Yeah.
It's like one of those things where it's like, her last fight, she kind of used her grappling and kind of laid on the girl and was just like, we're eking and went out. Now she's just getting blown out by the egg. Like, I mean, it's, it's one of those things where it's like, in the words of the great and powerful Brendan Schaub, what are we doing here?
Yeah.
What are we doing here,
Yeah.
You gotta find some kind of style or some kind of game for yourself. She has no kind of, like,
She just goes out there and fights.
Right, yeah. She's
kind of like a female Mike Perry. Just goes and fights.
Not even, because she's not entertaining.
Fair.
She can't be a female Mike Perry because she's not very entertaining. It's like, it's one thing to go out there with no plan and have some kind of asset where, like Mike Perry, one, he can knock people out, but he also is a tenacious motherfucker. She's not
just make a presence. Like, she kind of flies under the radar. And,
she's not gonna run out there and bum rush people down and eke them, destroy them. She decisionates
I also feel
people.
like she's like. Do you think she's undersized for bantamweight?
A little bit, but I mean...
Because that Stephanie Edgar chick looked tall compared to her. I was like, whoa, tough weight class.
Yeah, I think that she's more... I think she should fight at flyweight, but it's tough for her to make flyweight.
Well, hey, there's a thing that happens with fighting where you just kind of run to a certain point, and it's like, whoa, all right, this is where I run to. Like... I think she could have some more wins and losses, but I don't think she'll be like top 15. Like, she might just be at that point of like, some people become top 10ers, some people just stay as like.
I used to think the UFC would keep you around if you sucked, even if you were hot. But then they started cutting girls that were pretty hot that were losing. So now I'm thinking like nobody's safe. So, I mean, I just think that if she fights again, looks like that again, probably see her in BKFC.
That might be the right
fighting Taylor Starling.
No, they're separate. They're like 2 weight classes apart, right?
I thought Taylor's flyweight, right? Or is boxing is different? Flyweight would be different, right?
Like 15, 25, 35.
I think Taylor's 125.
Yeah. I don't know. Maybe if Jessica goes down to 25, she would do that.
That might be the hottest fight in BKFC history.
I would just watch
Ostovich versus Van Zandt is pretty close, but I think Rose Clark versus Starling is more
that pay-per-view got sold on the dark web. But then probably my favorite knockout from that UFC card was the Benitez Onama fight. Benitez, the AKA product, and Onama, I can't remember where he was from, but great striking and footwork from Benitez and great resilience from Onama. And then Onama just kind of had like a big turnaround in the last, like, with 30 seconds left in the first round after getting just pieced up, just sticks to his guns, walks through a lot of big power shots, and just boom, boom, folds Benitez against the cage. And I was like, oh, that was probably like my favorite as far as footwork and striking, like staying in front of each other, the angles those guys hit, the bombs they shared. I just went, shit, what a fight for 4.5 minutes.
Fight.
Like, yeah, and then for Onama to come back, because it looked like he was getting hurt early. Like, he got punched in the eye, not poked in the eye. He got hit on the chin a couple times, so I'm getting like wobbly, but he would just eat it back like a monster and just really folded Benitez up against the cage. Like, Benitez, as soon as Benitez took a step back, Onama just bop, 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 bop within like 10 seconds off that first step back from Benitez. So I thought that was just a really cool knockout. Yeah.
Definitely.
And especially after seeing, like, I hadn't seen that much of Onama before, but I'd seen Benitez fight, and I personally like Benitez. I like how he fights, and I went, man, it sucks to see him get knocked out, but what a knockout, man.
Right, like, yeah, he's one of those kind of fighters where he's either he's gonna get knocked out spectacularly, or he's gonna finish the other guy spectacularly.
Oh, yeah.
James Vick is like that, or he used to be before he got his soul taken by Gaethje, but like, he either would get finished in a way where you're like, is he okay? Yeah, or he would finish the guy, like he's an all or nothing kind of guy. But there's some fights on this weekend.
Yeah.
There's a fight on this weekend.
There's a fight. Like, this fight card is like I recognize some names on like the Hill card and the Hill Walker card, but this fight card I'm just like, okay, Misha Serkinov. But like the rest of the card, Terrence McKinney, he's fun to watch. Really, the only thing to talk about, like, the main event.
Yeah, I mean, what's your thoughts? Bobby Green taking on Islam on short notice.
do I want to see Bobby Green win by like first round, 30-second knockout? Yeah, I do. I want to see the underdog win, but Islam Makhachev said it best. Like during an interview, someone was like, "Hey, Bobby Green has some wrestling background too," and Islam just says, "Does he?" and like laughs, and like it's like, man, this is just not a good matchup for Bobby. But hey, like the way like Bobby's fighting just like an absolute motherfucking dog right now, and I'm curious as to see like how Islam will start out. Like Islam does like to punch into takedowns. Let's see if Bobby can create some angles and some problems early on. I think Islam has been knocked out before, right? Or was he choked? Or
I don't remember, but he does have a loss in
I forgot that he
got knocked out by a knee.
I think he did. Yeah, I think that's just like Bobby has to make Islam uncomfortable striking on the way in.
It's just one of those things where it's like,
but otherwise, like we can also see that playing out where Islam can just take him down and get right into an armbar or a rear naked choke, or I don't know, maybe we'll see a buggy choke. That'd be hysterical. I love how ridiculous that choke is.
Dude, when we called the one at Toro Cup, as it was happening, Andrew's just like, I can't believe this. And then we start like commentating it, and it's like, he's like, it can't be happening. And then the guy taps, and we're just like, buggy choke! Buggy choke!
It's one of I didn't know what the hell it was until like a couple of years ago, and I saw it starting to pop up.
I remember
in Russian like MMA and stuff like that. Like these guys that are like able to like these guys are scrambling these positions, these buggy chokes.
I remember Travis Nuaza posted a video of someone hitting it at like a jiu-jitsu tournament, and then I remember Marvin Castile reposting that video, and that was the first time I saw it, and that was the first time I heard the name buggy choke. And then the Russian guy hit one in ONE FC that went viral. It's actually, from what I understand about the choke, it's actually a little bit easier with the glove. The glove kind of adds a little bit of extra space you can take away, because that's that area where you're kind of closing it off. But yeah, a very interesting technique that seems to be. It seems to be becoming more prevalent. Like
every time I see a Dagestani fighter in the UFC, I'm just like, when are we going to see the first buggy choke in the UFC? I just want to see it. Like
sometimes it's one of those things where
I guess like for me as a striking coach, it's like a double rainbow of it's like seeing Gogo Platas make a
buggy
pop up
choke
in MMA
all the way across the sky.
Like we'll see like on the double rainbow of like jiu-jitsu for me. I'll see like Nick Diaz's Gogo Plata, and I'll see Islam's buggy choke over Bobby Green. Like that's the double rainbow in my
in that spectrum, in that Mount Rushmore of subs, you also have the Zabit's rolling Sulov stretch. Yeah. Oh, that's like one of my favorite ones ever.
But man, this main event, it's super dope. I love the press that Bobby Green's getting, but man, what a tough fight to take. Like kudos to him. Like I know, like he's a company guy. Like he's getting paid well for this.
Yeah.
And I love seeing that. But I think that losing, he'll bounce back.
For me, it's
he'll probably fight again in a couple months and get up another win.
Yeah.
Islam though, but here's the thing though, I'd love to see Bobby Green win, but then it's tough because what does he do after that?
Yeah, what do you do with Bobby Green if he beats Islam?
Yeah, is Islam ranked right now?
Do you do Dustin Poirier versus Bobby Green 2, baby?
Oh, Jesus. Yeah, let's run some King of the Cage rematches.
That's what I've been waiting on.
Watch that become Dustin. Watch Bobby Green go in a 3-fight pair. Poirier's like, all right, I know my retirement fight.
He beats
and it's like Poirier, Bobby Green for the Poirier's retirement fight. What kind of universe would we live in?
Poirier and fights Oliveira and wins the title. Bobby Green, champion, baby.
Jesus.
The thing about the Dagestani guys for me is every time one of them goes out there and has an incredible performance where they just dominate bell to bell, it just makes Khabib a little less special to me. Khabib's was the first, and he's obviously very special.
And now we're seeing these evolutions of Khabib.
Never really lost a round, except for the round he lost to Conor.
They all still look at him as their warrior king.
Of course,
he's leading the army still, but it's Khabib is about to make people that are way better than him, and we're already seeing it. We're starting to see the era of the Khabib coach come along, where he's and here's how you beat the shit out of me. Does that make sense?
But I would just like some kind of confirmation that Khabib is indeed as special as I thought he was, which is the only way for me to get that is by seeing Islam fail, unfortunately, or at least be tested, because Khabib never had a moment in a fight where things weren't going according to plan for him. Right. Even the round he lost to Conor, he was like giving to Conor because he wanted to stand and strike with him. Like, it's not like he, was trying to win that round legitimately and then lost it. He was trying to stand and bang with Conor for a round and then went back to the wrestling after a round and finished him. But I just want to see these guys in a situation one time where things aren't going according to plan and see what they do and see how they improvise and adjust.
Yeah, I mean,
so far, for Islam,
they tend to just like steamroll people.
Yeah, that's it. There's the Zabit fight where he fought that one dude who just wouldn't go down. He was kind of winning that fight the whole time, but at least he had to think of some other thing to do because he got tired. At least, But it's different with him because he's a striker. He's more of a striker. He's got great grappling, but he can strike. So. A lot of these guys, if Islam is put in a situation where he has to rely on his striking, probably might be fucked.
Might be a tough night for him.
Exactly.
Yeah. But that's also why I love MMA.
Yes. Exactly.
It could just be that Khabib is also not that good of a coach. And so was his father.
Mendez was too. I mean, that's a key ingredient there. Yeah. But, Khabib's 0-1 in 2022 as a coach, and Dale Brown is 1-0.
Like these guys, like...
We didn't even talk about Joaquin Buckley.
Oh, that's right. He had a great fight.
Great performance.
Oh, shit. Yeah, I skipped that. I kind of wanted to talk about the finishes because I'm a greedy little bitch.
Yeah, he had a great performance.
Dude, he was doing these step-around hooks. Like, he did a great job of interrupting, and like, I couldn't believe, like, how technically sound he looked in that fight.
How tactical.
Tactical, yeah.
How tactical he was looking in this
It's like
fight.
He's been training in Detroit or something, man. Shit was looking dusty for a second. I don't know.
All I'm saying is, to your point about Khabib, he's 0-1 in 2022 as a coach, and Dale Brown from Detroit
is
1-0. Yeah, that's all I'm saying.
Going out on top.
Hey, that's all I'm saying.
Going out on top.
That's all I'm saying. But yeah, I'm looking forward to next week because next week...
You know what? I'm pretty sure, I've seen Dale Brown teach that step around hook in his videos. Fighting the motorcycle cops. I think that was his Wing Chun step through.
The one strong wizard kind of hip throw that he did where he kind of face planted him. I was like, that looked a little Dale-ish, that looked a little Dale-ish. And I was like, is he trying to force dust techniques into this fight? How aware is Joaquin of what he's doing right now? But next week we've got Conflict in Charleston.
I'm excited.
And also
the
Colby and Colby's taking on
yeah.
Masvidal. I don't know how we're going to watch both, but we're going to try to figure it out. One will be working, the other will be. Maybe we'll find a bootleg stream.
What time do the Conflict shows start at? 7?
Probably.
Shit, that's like a
6:30 or 7. Yeah, that's a big boy card too.
Fuck. Oh well. Hey, you know what? I'd rather be at live fights.
Me too.
I mean, it's like, here's the thing. That's a fight card I'm gonna enjoy rewatching back. It's a
yes.
I enjoy paying for a title fight, but I'm with these two. I'm y'all could have made an Ultimate Fighter season or something like that. Made them as a co-main event on a title. But that fight card. It's a cool fight card, but great matchups. Great, it's a fan favorite kind of matchup right now. If from just scrolling through it real quick.
Yeah.
But I think I'd rather be getting paid to be cage side at some fights, calling it live. That's where we're happy.
Conflict is very special.
Yeah. It's a sold out show.
It is officially sold out now. Yeah. So next week we'll be back with a preview of Conflict 50.
Whoa.
And UFC 277 now.
272.
272, yeah, right, my bad. 272, yes. So, yeah.
I only know because I just looked it up.
Stay tuned, guys, for that. We'll be back next week. Thanks for tuning in to the 10-8 podcast.